Coming back from the break, now Kenya is eyeing more regional trade after a pact with 2 blocs, according to what is coming in from the latest in Karibu, East Africa this morning. And the government in Kenya could soon start exporting its goods outside the East African community market with the implementation of a tripartite agreement that is expected to be implemented in March this year. The free trade pact that brings together 3 regional business blocs, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, and the East African Community and Southern African Development Community, SADC, was mooted 7 years ago. However, it stalled after it did not meet the required number of member states to ratify it before its implementation. And Christopher Onyango, the Director of Trade and Customs at COMESA Secretariat, said achieving the tripartite dream is a complex process that requires a lot of commitment, including financial, but pointed out that at least 3 of the members who are yet to ratify have all indicated their willingness. Currently, only 11 member states, including Kenya, have ratified the deal with Tanzania, one which includes South Africa, Mauritius, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, yet to endorse this trade deal as well. Now, Mohammed Abdallah, the chairperson of the tripartite committee, said it is a lengthy process that requires each country to undertake a long internal process first before ratifying it. The agreement is meant to promote inter-regional trade and enhance regional trade, as well as continental integration among the different business blocs as it seeks to eliminate both tariff and non-tariff barriers. Several rounds of negotiations spanning 5 years have been taking place, with the Tripartite Council of Ministers having earlier set April 2019 as the deadline for member states to ratify the agreement. Launched in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt in June 2015, the Tripartite Free Trade Area champions integration that is grounded on the developmental approach to regional integration based on the 3 pillars, which include market integration, industrial development, and infrastructure development. For example, many member states in the proposed free trade area have now narrow production bases, exporting only a few primary commodities. Besides that, the tripartite model is intended to ensure that the right commodities are produced and competitively availed to the market in that space. Now, when you look at the current situation coming up here, you have to realize that Kenya may soon start exporting most of its goods once again outside of the East African community, and due to the fact that there is a lot of plenty market options for the people of Kenya. Still with Kenya, meanwhile, Kenya Power seeks to raise electricity tariffs up to 117%. And these particular electricity prices for some of the poor Kenyan households could rise up by 117% should the country's energy regulator approve a tariff review proposal by the Kenya Power, which is aimed at generating more cash for the utility firm. Is Kenya Power for you. In October last year, Kenya Power made a tariff review application to the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, for higher energy tariffs that will be in place for the next 3 years. Besides that, the new tariffs are expected to take effect on April 1st, and the utility firm has 4 years pushed for a review of the current power tariffs, arguing that its revenue requirements have grown sharply despite income from electricity remaining the same. This has forced it to rely on increasing sales, as EPRA has now scheduled public participation for scrutiny of the tariff, in which the utility company has proposed the introduction of a new tariff, which is roughly 14 Kenyan shillings, or approximately $0.11 per kilowatt per hour for customers who use less than 30 units of power monthly. It also wants to introduce a tariff of 21.68 Kenyan shillings, that is roughly $0.17 per kilowatt for those who use more than 30 units monthly. In the current tariff that was approved in November 2018, which was temporarily cut by EPRA in January last year, customers who use less than 100 units per month will have to pay 10 Kenyan shillings. That is approximately 0.01. That is approximately 0.081 Kenyan shillings per kilowatt per hour. And those who use more than the amount will pay 15.8 Kenyan shillings, or approximately 0.13. That is, or approximately $0.13 per unit at the end of the day. But of course, as we continue to give you more of these particular details, you get to realize that the electricity prices for some of the poor Kenyan households could indefinitely rise by 117% should the country's energy regulator approve a tariff review proposal by the Kenya Power aimed at generating more cash for the utility firm. and also in the long run, by October last year, Kenya Power made a tariff review application to the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority for higher energy charge tariffs that will be in place for the next 3 years or so. So the new tariffs are expected to take effect as of April 1st. Now, lastly, from Karibu, East Africa here, the IMF has projected that Ethiopia and Angola's economies are likely to overtake that of Kenya, which does look to be the largest economy in East Africa. However, not only that, Kenya is likely to be replaced as the third largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa by Angola and Ethiopia. This will weaken the East African country's power to tap investors enticed with a population that has more cash to spend. Tell you what, the faster gross domestic product growth in Angola and Ethiopia will in turn see Kenya relegated to number 5 in sub-Saharan Africa's economic rankings, according to projections by the International Monetary Fund that show that Nigeria is the largest economy on the continent. And at a return growth linked to higher oil prices, apparently saw Angola overtake Kenya last year, according to the International Monetary Fund. And after the nation, which is the continent's second largest oil producer, Nigeria, ended years of recession. Now, tell you what, Ethiopia in this year is set to replace Kenya from position 4 on the back of easing armed conflict in the nation and the continuation of the ambitious economic reform aimed at opening up one of Africa's fastest growing but most closed economies. Now, the International Monetary Fund does expect that the economies of Ethiopia and Angola this year are set to expand by 13.5% and 8.6% respectively on dollar terms. However, if you're to weigh on in options, Kenya is projected to record a slower growth of 2.4% in the review period as the country continues to grapple with the aftershocks of the COVID-19 pandemic, including drought, election jinxes, and disruption of global supply chains that were greatly caused by the Russia and Ukraine war. Now, sub-Saharan Africa accounts for 46 of the continent's 54 countries. If you are to look at that, excluding giants like Morocco and Egypt. But also, on the other hand, the relegation of Kenya to position 5 will weaken its hand in the race for foreign direct investment, which does look so critical in easing the growing youth unemployment across the continent. Now, the International Monetary Fund does project that Kenya's GDP will then definitely hit a $117.6 billion this year. Now, that is behind Nigeria, which is at $574 billion. South Africa takes up $422 billion in second place, as Angola $135 billion, and then Ethiopia, which does sum up number 4 with $126.2 billion. Now, from mobile phones, cars, food and clothes to financial services and the entertainment, multinational companies are homecoming in a lucrative new markets as millions of Africans do aspire to claw their way out of still widespread poverty. Kenya not having a good year this one. That is it for Karibu East Africa. Now let's head to the SMB International News this morning. A former Portuguese colony in Cape Verde is settling a debt with Portugal. Portugal will now invest in the Cape Verdean Fund for Climate and Energy Transition by repaying Cape Verde's debt, according to what is coming in here. Now, the Portuguese-speaking country owes Portugal around 600 million euros, and this argument, by the way, states that each time a part of the debt is paid off, the amount will be reinvested in the country, and which country it is entirely. Now, this investment could reach 12 million euros by 2025, and it is actually a way of converting what is a debt into what becomes Cape Verde's capacity to invest in the energy transition and in combating climate change. And the two countries are doing this together. Climate change is surely the greatest challenge facing humanity today, if you look at that. But this challenge is on the global scale, and no country will be sustainable in all countries. And also, from the same situation, Cape Verde's goals in terms of sustainable development targets, the SDGs as well, literally looks at energy transition. The country hopes that by 2030, more than 54% of energy production will result from renewable energy. Now, also, currently, the island nation imports about 80% of the fuels it consumes. Portugal has exceeded this target and hopes to reach 80%, of course, still by 2026. you are to follow up on the same situation now. And following more on the details here, Portugal is now set to invest in Cape Verde, in the Cape Verdean Fund for Climate and Energy Transition by repaying Cape Verde's debt. This follows the fact that the two countries have reached a debt settlement after Cape Verde was owing Portugal around 600 million euros. And the agreement states that each time a part of the debt is paid off, the amount will be reinvested in the country in its entirety. So the investment could reach 12 million euros by first time 2025. Lastly, from the international news this morning, we turn our eyes to the United States, where Google has been accused of driving out advert rivals. The U.S. Department of Justice, the DOJ, 8 U.S. states have filed a case against Google, alleging it has too much power over the online and ad market. They do believe that its anti-competitive actions had weakened, if not destroyed, competition in the ad tech industry, according to the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland. Google accused the Department of Justice in the U.S. of doubling down on a flawed argument, and this particular case is attempted to pick winners and losers in a competitive industry, the firm did reveal. Now, besides the same situation, online advertising accounts for the lion's share of Google's multi-billion-dollar revenue, and besides that, Google is the market leader, but its slice of the total US digital ad income has fallen from 36.7% as of 2016 to 28.8% in 2022. And according to the market research firm Insider Intelligence, the almost 150-page complaint has accused Google of breaches of the US antitrust law and aims to halt Google's anti-competitive scheme, as well as unwind Google's monopolistic grip on the market and restore competition to digital advertising. Now, this could apparently lead to the breakup of the firm's advertising business if the court sides with the US government. And the Justice Department compliant asks the court to compel Google to divest parts of its ad business. But besides that, the US states of Connecticut, California, Colorado, New Jersey, New York, the Rhode Island, Tennessee, and Virginia are also joining the legal action. This latest case follows the 2020 action launched during the Trump presidency against the tech giant over its dominancy in search. Now, the US Department of Justice and 8 US states have filed a case against Google, alleging it has too much power over the online ad market. And of course, you've got to realize that the adverts that you get while using your different search engines powered by Google at the end of the day goes back to the fact that Google is taking up most of the lion's share, and that is where Google is getting most of its revenues and profits, by the way. So you get to realize it's more just like the Department of Justice trying to dig deeper into someone's business in that space. But of course, as we summing up with this particular international update this morning, you get to realize that Google, on the other hand, also accused the Department of Justice of doubling down on a flawed argument. And they partly say that the case attempted to pick winners and losers in competitive industry. Online advertising accounts for the lion's share of Google's multi-billion-dollar revenue. Besides that, though, Google is the market leader, but its slice of total US digital ad income fell from 36.7% that as it stood in 2016 to about 28.8% in 2022. That's roughly a decline of a sharp decline, which is relatively close to 8%. You are to put it in simple calculations according to the market research firm Insider Intelligence. So Google, there is almost a 150-page complaint accusing Google of breaches of the US antitrust law and aims to halt Google's anti-competitive scheme, as well as unwind Google's monopolistic grip on the market. But there is also chances that this may restore competition to digital advertising at the end of the day. Fair to say, that's it for the S&P International News this morning. I've got 9 minutes to the top of the hour, but you can get more business updates by following us onto our website, www.smart24.tv/news for real-time local and international news. But besides that as well, you can get onto our YouTube channel, Smart24 TV Live. Please do remember to subscribe to the channel as we are on our journey to to 2,000 subscribers. And in the long run, on Twitter, we are Smart24 TV, and also Facebook Smart24 TV Official. Do remember that Instagram also, on the other hand, is Smart24 TV Official. But also, you can get real-time updates by linking with us at LinkedIn for more of the business opportunities that do arise across the entire economic space within the East African Community region. We're on mainstream channel 394, that is for GOTV, and then for the DSTV subscribers, you can definitely get us onto channel 372. But well, it is a public holiday, but just for you to remember that you can register and create an account for yourself to kickstart off your investment journey with Zabo. So it's a no hassle if you've got no money, but if you have limited money, you can invest with just a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Optex East Africa is bringing to you Zabo. Zabo is a platform that makes it very easy and simple for you to invest in government bonds. You can buy, sell, and definitely trade in government bonds and learn more about other products with Zabo. Use the USSD code *292#, select a preferred maturity period for your bond. Remember just that with a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, you can invest in those particular government bonds. The markets on the platform open at 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. But please do note that these markets are closed during the weekends and on public holidays, such of which one of the days like this one inclusive of that particular debacle. When you get to realize it, you will get to understand that you can invest and grow your money. Today's a public holiday, the 26th of January, which is the National Liberation Day in Uganda. So the markets will be closed full time. But of course, you can use the USSD code *292#, open up an account. Tomorrow you'll be good to go to invest. And mentioning of the fact that today is a public holiday, well, we can still try to weigh in options here, as you get to realize that more of the newspapers here are bringing you a more detailed transformation of the NRM government since 1986, according to the New Vision this morning as well. And you can definitely get yourself that copy, see more about how far the NRM government has come. But also, there's something to do with over 900 schools operating illegally, according to reports from the Ministry of Education. And then the Energy Minister has commissioned the Nama Beluzirapala. This is more and more of what is coming in from there. But there is also another detailed report that is more of a worry with the New Vision today, which says that the government loses 33 billion shillings in irregular salary payments. Which irregular salary payments are those? We shall definitely be getting more of that as we discover for you as well. And this is Smart Means Business. You are watching Smart24 TV. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko. We've got 7 minutes to the top of the hour. When I have to return in at 8, I'll be getting you to the social media trends. I've got a business quote and a business tip for you this morning. Then not only that, I will be giving you more business updates coming up, including sports, business, and entertainment economics this morning.